Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined by Tamiko Chacon. She is the director of Everyone Free. You've inspired me since I met you, and I want to speak about the work you're doing in Pomona and the greater Inland Empire, focused on trafficking and sex trafficking.
Yes,
Please.
yeah. Well, we see a lot of trafficking of children, teenagers in our community, as well as adults.
In the Inland Empire?
In the Inland Empire,
I mean, come
absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
And these are not children being brought in from Thailand or El Salvador. These are local kids that somehow wind up under the thumb of a pimp.
Yeah, well, they've been preyed upon by a trafficker because they're vulnerable, their age. Many of them are foster youth.
Right.
And so that's how they're lured into this life.
And so what is your organization doing to try to thwart it? And if it does happen, help these young women and boys presumably recover?
Yes. We're working to prevent trafficking.
Right.
We want to stop it before it starts.
Of course.
So we speak in schools, after school clubs with students that are at risk in junior high and senior high schools to try to prevent them from being
who's
trafficked.
at risk?
Well,
That's an interesting, if I may say, that's an interesting question. Who's at risk?
Because, I mean, we do see a lot of runaways and foster youth, children from families that don't have a strong family support there. They are at high risk.
Okay.
But all students are at risk.
Yeah.
Because traffickers are now using social media. They use apps like Instagram and Snapchat and all the ones that young students are on. So it doesn't matter at that point what your background, really, they're all at risk.
What are the signs? Because it could be that a child's being trafficked, but still going to school. I mean, still part of everyday society, and we may not even realize it.
Right. Well, if they start to seem withdrawn, if there are things that the child is doing that seem secretive, if there's any physical markings on them, I would just say as a parent or a guardian, you should know exactly where they are at all times.
Right.
Know who they're talking to.
Do drugs play a part in this conversation?
A little bit. I mean, traffickers begin to get their victims hooked on drugs, and so that is part of it.
I understand you have an event coming up.
Yes.
It's called Freedom Bag Workday. It's Saturday, March 12th, starting at 9 a.m. in Pomona. Where exactly?
586 North Main Street at Purpose Church.
Right.
We pack bags that are given to survivors. So it's like an emergency response bag.
Yeah, so tell us about the survivors, because like you said, you try to prevent it, but if someone does fall into that lifestyle, you're there.
We work to serve survivors. We gave out 250 freedom bags last year, so 250 survivors in our local community, throughout Southern California, I should say.
How do you get to them?
We are contacted by law enforcement, the FBI, and other organizations and social workers that are working with survivors.
So if we want to reach out to your organization, either because we're fearful that a friend, a neighbor, or a relative is victimized, or we want to volunteer generally, maybe we're a survivor ourselves, how can we reach out?
Everyonefree.org. That's our website. So just go there and get in touch with us.
And what other opportunities are there in case we want to volunteer? Because I have to think that your organization is, am I wrong, volunteer driven?
Yes.
So what are the opportunities?
Besides packing freedom bags, if you're interested in going and speaking in schools, if you're an educator and you would like us to come and speak to your students, we'd love to do that. So that's one way that we can connect with volunteers.
And do you feel as if we've turned a page a bit? A lot of talk over the last few years on this issue.
We are making headway. Yeah, we definitely are, but there's still more work to do. So.
Indeed. Okay, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Her name is Tamiko Chacon. She is the director of Everyone Free, the website, like you said, everyonefree.org. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.